Okay, assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Um, just making sure everybody can hear me. Okay. Okay, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wa salatu wa salamu ala ashrafil mursaleen. Sayyidina wa Habibina Maulana Muhammadin sallallahu alayhi wa sallam wa ala alihi wa ashabihi wa barik wa sallim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Let's begin the dua together. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Subhanaka la ilma lana illa ma 'allamtana. اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وزدنا علما يا مقلب القلوب ثبت قلوبنا على دينك. Ameen. Alhamdulillah, I pray that all of you are well, inshallah ta'ala. And for those of you who are listening on YouTube, I hope it's actually working on YouTube. We are going to be basically doing all the interaction on Zoom going forward, inshallah. So let me just check YouTube 1 second. Let me just make sure check if it's playing there. So for those of you on YouTube, we have WhatsApp. We have sent you the link via WhatsApp, and we will also post the link on the WhatsApp chat as well. Okay, so rather join us on Zoom because it's going to be better, inshallah. Okay, so let me just see something else quickly. Okay, so Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. And I think just in terms of our kind of Zoom etiquette, I'll keep your mics muted in general. But if I ask, like, if there are any questions, then you're welcome to basically unmute your mic and ask your question, and then remute your mic. But while I'm teaching, you can basically just pop a question in the Zoom chat. Inshallah, I think it'll work better. And the reason we're using Zoom is basically for us to basically have more kind of interactive lessons, and then also we can start bringing some of the other teachers back and have a full Sunday, a full Sunday lesson. So you have all your subjects back again, inshallah ta'ala. Okay, so Bismillah. So just a recap. I won't go through sentences because we did that already. Just a recap as to where we are. And I keep showing this map here so that you basically just keep the framework in mind. that first of all, so not on the map here, but we did jend. That's the first thing. And the second thing is we did the two jumlas, the jumlatul ismiya and the jumlatul fi'liya, the verb-based sentence and the noun-based sentence. And just try to remember the parts of each sentence. So the parts of a jumlatul fi'liya, of a verb-based sentence, are going to be the verb, like nasara. It's going to be the doer, the fa'il, the subject, like a rajulu, and the doer, the fa'il, will always be in raf'un, and it will be have a done upon an object who the action was done to, and it will be in nasb, and it will be maf'ulun bihi, maf'ulun bihi. Okay, and then for the jumlatul ismiya, a jumlatul ismiya, like a rajulu tawilun, the jumlatul ismiya is something. You have a focus, and then you say something about that focus. So something is something, or some things are something. So basically, for example, here we have a rajulu, the man, the news about the man, he is tall. And those two parts are called mubtada, the focus, and khabar, the news about the focus. And both of them are in raf'un. Then we have our murakkabs, our compounds or our fragments. The first one is mawsuf and sifa, the thing being described and the describing word. And the describing word will always follow the thing being described in jend, except for the one exception. And then harfu jar ism majrur we learned last week, and we'll do just recap that again today. So that's where we're at basically in the lesson. So I'll skip the rest of this. This we did already. So your huruful jar or your harful jar, you hopefully memorized it. But the huruful jar again, you can say it together. بتولك في على من إلى عن حتى. Let's say it again. بتولك في على من إلى عن حتى. Last time. بتولك في على من إلى عن حتى. Okay. So that's what we did last week, and then we just mentioned, I won't go through this now, but we mentioned that the way this construction works is that when you have a harful jar, what's a harful jar? One of those we just mentioned now, bita walika fi ila an hatta and so on. When you have a harful jar, it will make the next word ismul majroor. It will make the next word ismul majroor. It will make the next word in jar. So that is the construction. It's the harful jar ismul majroor construction. So if you think about it, when it comes to a verb-based sentence, you have two parts. You have, besides the fi'l, you have the fa'il, maf'ulun bihi. When it comes to a noun-based sentence, you have two parts. You have a mubtada and a khabar. When it comes to a mawsuf sifa, you have two parts, mawsuf and sifa. And when you come to this part, you have two parts, a harful jar and then ismul majroor. The harful jar has no hal because it's a harf, but it makes the next word into jar, and therefore the next word is called ismul majroor. Ismul majroor. Okay. So I see we have half the people in Zoom and half the people on YouTube. Again, for the YouTube people, we're probably going to stop. We might stop the YouTube live after a while. So please do join the Zoom sessions, inshallah. So if you can take out your homework for now. Your homework was 5.1 and 5.2. You can take out your homework for now, 5.1 and 5.2. Um, just see something. Okay. So on this 5.1, these are all phrases from the Quran. These are all phrases from the Quran. I think we marked some of them last week. Did we do some of them last week? I think we did some of them last week. Um, yeah. So these are all phrases from the Quran. So you can take out your homework, inshallah. So what you have to do is basically translate it, and the main thing is just actually to see and identify the harful jar and the ismul majrur. So for example, if let's go from let's zoom in a bit more here. So if we go from maybe I shouldn't show you the answers for now. Let's leave the answers for now. And you can give me the answers. Okay. So if you go to number two, let's go to number two, and that's part of the examples. Number two reads fi jannatin aliyah. So number two reads fi jannatin aliyah. So fi we know is a harful jar. So we have fi is a harful jar, which means in. Jannah means a garden. Jannah means a garden, paradise, a garden. In a garden, and aliyah means lofty or high or raised in a lofty garden, right? So that's the translation. So what we're looking for is we're looking for you also to think about the labels of each word. So fi will be a what? Fi will be a hajim will be a harful jar. And jannah will be an ismul majrur alif mim. So after harful jar, you always have ismul majrur, and therefore it cannot be fi jannatun. It cannot be fi jannatan. It has to be fi jannatin. It has to be fi jannatin. Why? Because you have a harful jar, and jannatin is an ismul majrur, and alif mim and ismul majrur. You with me? So that's the harful jar, ismul majrur construction. And aliyah means lofty raised, and aliyah is there to describe jannatin. Aliyah is there to describe jannatin, and therefore Alia is a sifa. Alia is a sifa, and Jannatin is a mawsuf. Alia is a sifa and Jannatin is a mawsuf. Therefore, I put the mim sa there for Jannah. It's also a mawsuf. And Aliatin is a sifa. And remember the rule of sifa? The sifa must follow the mawsuf. So because the sifa must follow the mawsuf, and therefore the sifa will be in jar. The sifa will be in jar. Okay. Next one. على الكافرين على الكافرين على again is the easy one here. على it means upon. Al-kafirina means the disbelievers. Upon the disbelievers is a translation. على is a harful jar, and al-kafirina you remember is a jam'un mudhakkarun salimun. If I put kafirina in rafun, it becomes what? Al-kafiruna. It becomes what? Al-kafiruna. Ala al-kafirina. Al-kafirina. But in jar, it is going to be al-kafirina. Therefore, it's going to be harful jar and ismul majrur upon the disbelievers. Next one. Wal asr. So we learned last time that wa can mean and wa can mean by. If the wa means and, it's not a harful jar. If the wa means and, that's a different wa. It's not a harful jar. The wa that's a harful jar is the waw of the oath, of the qasam. So here Allah is saying, wal asr. Allah has taken oath. I take an oath. Wal asr, by asr, by time. By time. So the wa is a harful jar, and al asr is ismul majroor. Al asr is ismul majroor. Okay. Next one. Who wants to translate number 5 for me? And number 6 and number 7. Bismillah. So you can put in the chat number 5, number 6, and number 7. I think we have more people. We have half exactly. I wonder if it's the same half. Okay, Bismillah. So 5, 6, and 7. So Brother Munir says, uh, Mashed Tawhida about the great news. About the great news. Tell me, are you guys like comfortable to speak on Zoom or you don't speak? I'm just wondering, I'm curious. Can you give me a what do they have? You see, you have all those ticks there. You have those ticks there. If you're comfortable to speak, then you give me a yes, like that. Can you see they have little icons there? I'm not gonna make you speak. I'm saying like if you want to volunteer to give an answer. Because otherwise it's weird. Only me sitting here just talking. So no, I'll ask for people to give me to do one. So give me a yes if you're comfortable, and then if you're not comfortable, then you can tell me. You see the yes there? There's like a raise hand, yes, no, go slower, go faster. There's some other icons there, so you can just. No one's giving me a yes, brother Abbas. At least you can speak also. You can just say yes. You can start the. You can start the movement, just to make it a bit more interactive. You don't see the ticks. It should be at the bottom of your. If you open the participant list, you'll see yes. If you open the participant button, then you'll see a yes, no, or you can just type yes. That'll be okay as well. Oh no, I know you can't unmute, so I'm just saying you can just put a yes there. So when the time comes, we can allow people to basically speak. Oh, there isn't a survey. It's just basically on the participant tab. If you on Zoom, there's a chat window and there's a participant window. If you open the participant window, it'll basically pop with your chat window, and then you will see at the bottom there's a raise hand, yes, no, and so on. I don't know if you see it. Okay. Anyway, so let me actually just open this here. It's gonna be better for us to do this. Um, did you find it? So here you see, you must click twice on the participant window. Yeah, but the boss gave me a yes. Who else gave me yes? Only one person. Where are we now? Mizan shade 20 essence. Now we're not looking for reps, we're looking for people to interact, mashallah. We want people just to interact. Not like just like one or two examples. Let me just open something. Yeah, okay. Okay, let's do it from here. Okay, so I don't know who's ready, inshallah, who wants to do. So Ali Naba il Azim, we did Naba il Azim, we did already. An means about, and Naba means the news, Al Azim means the great. So this is translation is about the great news. So brother Abbas, I think you must break the ice, and I think you must do number 6. You can just read it, and then you can give me the translation, and you can tell me where is the harful jar, the ism majroor, and what else is happening in the sentence. So Bismillah, let's go for it, inshallah. You can unmute yourself now. Oh, but can I hear you? It's only problem. Let me just see. Yeah, I should be able to hear. It's fine. Whoever else wants to have a turn, you can just raise your hand. Just put a yes in the chat, and then we'll give you a turn to just read one and translate it, and just tell me there's a harful jar, there's a ism majroor, and so on. Bismillah. Um, oh, Brother Munir, Bismillah. You say Aztik. Oh, Brother Tawfiq. Oh, oh, Sister Zarina. Any of you, inshallah, you can unmute your mic and you can just read number 6.
Assalamualaikum.
And Walaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Assalamualaikum everybody. So for number 6, I have
So Brother Munir, if you can just first read it, inshallah, and then translate. Okay, Brother Munir, Bismillah.
ila qadarin ma'lumin. So the translation I have is for a known extent.
For a known extent. Okay, good, mashallah. And then tell me the parts that you have, like you label each part.
So ila I have as the harful jar.
Good.
Got the qadarin, that is the ismul majrur.
Good.
And I was confused about the last part there. So I'm going to
Okay,
mute
good.
the guy now. I'm going to mute the guy now.
Okay, mashallah. Who wants to help Brother Munir out? What's the function of the ma'loom? Brother Abbas, you can unmute yourself again now, inshallah. Oh, any of the sisters want to speak? All the brothers, Bismillah. What about the ma'loom? What's the function of the ma'loom? Okay, I think people are still looking for the unmute button. But Bismillah, the ma'loom is going to be a description of qadr. So qadr means an extent, a period of time, like a measure. And ma'loom means known. So the word ma'loom means known. So the word ma'loom is describing the measure. The word ma'loom is describing the word qadr. So the word ma'loom is going to be a sifa. It's going to be a sifa, and the qadr is also going to be a mawsuf. So the ma'loom is a sifa, and therefore it's jar, because the word qadr is also jar. So translation is going to be to a known period. No, brother Bashikosh, YouTube is outdates now. We're on Zoom now. YouTube is like, the delay is crazy on YouTube. So you just yeah. So you must watch it. You must plug in the Zoom into the TV. Okay, Bismillah. Bil yawmil akhir. Bil yawmil akhir. Bismillah. I don't know who wants to speak. Sister Zarina, do you want to have a turn? Just to read it and translate it. Oh, Brother Tawfiq, whoever else said that, whoever else wants to. Or maybe you must just say I'm ready or something. Brother Tawfiq, mashallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Number 7, bil yawmil akhir.
Okay.
So I said bil yawmil is the first part is a harful jar.
Good.
And then the second part is ismul ma'lum. And then
ismul
majrur.
Ismul majrur, mashallah. Ismul majrur, yes.
And then the last part, al-akhir, is describing. So it's a sifa.
It's a sifa. Okay, mashallah, excellent. So bil yawm al-akhir is going to be I don't know what this verse is, because remember B has 2 meanings. What are the 2 meanings of B? Someone remember? What's the 2 meanings of B?
The first one is an oath. So
yeah, the first one is an oath by, and then B can also mean what? What is the other meaning of B?
With.
So basically we have to check the context of the sentence. I'm just checking the verse now quickly. 438. Yeah, so the context of the verse is that this B means with, doesn't mean by. So the context of the verse is this B means with and not by. So this is with, or B can also mean in as well. So B, depending on the context, can also mean in. So this verse goes, وَلَا يُؤْمِنُونَ بِاللَّهِ وَلَا بِالْيَوْمِ الْآخِرِ. Actually, let me just pull up the verse for you, the whole verse, so you can just see what I mean. So based on the context, based on the context. So we go to Quran.com /38. So based on the context of the verse, for example, this verse here says, وَالَّذِينَ يُنْفِقُونَ أَمْوَالَهُمْ رِئَاءَ النَّاسِ, and those who spend their money to show off to other people. وَلَا يُؤْمِنُونَ بِاللَّهِ, and they don't believe. Can you see billah here? The bi here means like with Allah, but actually in this case means in Allah. They don't believe in Allah. So the bi here means in. Wala, and not bil yawmil akhir. And again, in the last day. So they can see this bi is not a qasam, it's not an oath. Allah is just saying they don't believe in it. They don't believe in Allah and they don't believe in the last day. So again, when it comes to the huruful jar, especially that B and that la, the translation is often flexible depending on the context. Depending on the context. So we have to check the verse basically to check the context. So you can see clearly the B doesn't mean an oath. Allah is not also taking an oath. Allah is telling you about people who don't believe in the last day. In the last day. Okay, so let's go back here. Tallahi is an easy one. Tallahi ta is a harful jar, and Allah lafzul jalala. Allah is a ismul majroor. This means by Allah. By Allah. Okay, Bismillah wants to have a turn on number. Okay, so Zurina, mashallah, no problem, inshallah. Next week the mic will work, inshallah. Okay, min al-dhulumati ila nur. We're looking for a volunteer. Min al-dhulumati ila nur. We want the volunteers for all of them. We'll just take a one round of volunteers just to check it out, and then we'll carry on, inshallah. Min al-dhulumati ila nur. Brother Abbas, are you off YouTube now? Are you still there? I think he's still on YouTube. Who else wants to have a turn, Brother Tawfiq? I had it done already. Okay, I think Brother Abbas is still on YouTube. Let me just actually put on YouTube again. Okay, Bismillah. So, min al-dhulumati ila nur, min means from. Al-dhulumat. And I'm actually just open the whole verse because sometimes it's nice to see the context of the verse as well. 65:11. But you mustn't use this stuff to do your homework, okay? You must do your homework from your mind. Don't look up the translation. Okay, so this verse here is Surah Talaq, verse number 11. Allah Ta'ala says, Rasulan yatlu alaykum ayatillahi mubayyinat. A messenger that recites upon you the verses of Allah, mubayyinat, clarifying. Why does the messenger recite the verses of Allah upon you? لِيُخْرِجَ الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ. لِيُخْرِجَ, in order to remove those that amanu, those that believe, وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ, and those who do righteous deeds, مِنَ الظُّلُمَاتِ إِلَى النُّورِ. So to remove those who believe and do righteous deeds, min means a harful jar, which means from. Al-dhulumat, and dhulumat, is it single or dual or plural? Dhulumat, single, dual or plural? It's a plural. What type of plural is it? It is a female plural, a jam'un mu'annathun salimun. So dhulumat is not actually one darkness. If you can see the translation, it says the darknesses. I don't know if it's a real word, but anyway, dhulumat means lots of darkness. Like multitudes of darkness, different types of darkness. Types of darkness. So min means harful jar and dhulumat means lots of types of darkness. So harful jar ismul majroor dhulumat ila harful jar, and nur ismul majroor ila to the light. So translation, min, from, al-dhulumat, the darknesses, the multitudes of darkness, ila, to, an-nur, the light. And nur is actually going to be single. The plural of nur is anwar. The plural of nur is anwar. So nur is going to be single. So we learn from that Allah Ta'ala says that the Prophet ﷺ has come to remove people from all sorts of shades and types of darknesses. Ila nur, to the single light, to the one light, and that is the light of Islam, the way of Allah Ta'ala. Next one. Fitnatun fil ardi wa fasadun. Fitnatun fil ardi, a trial in the earth, wa fasadun. Fitnatun fil ardi. Okay, there's something to go through fairly quickly because I want to go to the next exercise, inshallah. Fitnatun, a trial, fil ardi, in the earth, wa fasadun, and a corruption. Your main label you're looking for there is the fi is a harful jar and al ardi is an ismul majroor. Next one. خلق الإنسان من علق. This is a nice one. Any volunteers for this one? Any volunteers? Okay, we can just put the answer in the chat, inshallah. Put the answer in the chat. خلق الإنسان من علق. This is Rina, mashallah. So خلق. So what I wanted you to see here was that there is a few concepts that you know that's coming together. The word khalaqa is what? Is a fi'l. So when you see a fi'l, you have jumlatul fi'liya. So when you see a fi'l, you're looking for who did the action and who was the action done to. So in that sentence, khalaqa al-insana min alaq, where is the doer? Where is the doer in that sentence? The doer is not at the end there because nothing at the end. The doer is not to the left because there's nothing in the raf'un, and therefore the doer must be inside. It's the huwa, inside. So khalaqa al-insana, he created, and he refers to Allah. He created al-insana, he created who or what? He created al-insana, humankind, mankind. And here al-insana, you can see, is maf'ulun bihi. It's going to be in nasb. خلق الإنسان من. So خلق الإنسان is going to be a jumlatul fi'liya because we have the fi'l, fa'il, and maf'ulun bihi. He created mankind, he created humankind. Min harful jar, from alaq, from a clot. From a clot, and alaq is going to be an ismul majroor. Alaq is going to be an ismul majroor. Okay, next one. رجعنا إلى المدينة. Again, رجعنا. Okay, so the question is, how do we know that it's not a corrupt trial? Can't the corrupt be a sifa of it? Okay, so the question is, fitnatun fil ardi wa fasadun. How do we know that fasad is not a sifa of fitna? Okay, so the one way we know is that there won't be a wa before the sifa, because wa means and something else. So based on that, basically you'll know that fitnatun fil ardi is one thing. Actually, maybe we rather pull up the verse, and also the context makes it easier. 873. Okay. Now, وَالَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا بَعْضُهُمْ أَوْلِيَاءُ بَعْضٍ. And those who disbelieve, some of them are allies of others. إِلَّا تَفْعَلُوا. If you do not do it, referring to something in the previous verse. Takun. There will be fitnatun. There will be fitna and a trial on the earth. Fil ardi. Wa. And see the wa then means and means something else. So that fasad can't be linked to fitna, just means there will be something and there will be something else. Fasadun kabirun, a fasad, a corruption, kabir, a great corruption. So that wa basically negates the possibility of it being a sifa. And also in terms of meaning, fasad and fitna fasad doesn't describe fitna, because fitna means a trial and fasad means a corruption. So they don't really, they're two different things. The fasad is not a adjective. So I hope that answers the question. I had the word oppression instead of trial. Okay, oppression is fine for now for fitna. Basically, when we do the words in the Quran, we go into a deeper word study of what each word means. So, what does fitna mean? What are the root letters? Where does it come from? We'll do a word study separately, inshallah. So, oppression or trial is both fine. Next one. رجعنا إلى المدينة رجعنا رجع. If you go down, that's a verb. Let's go down the scale. رجع. I won't ask you to put your mic and do your scales, but Bismillah. رجع رجع رجعوا رجعت رجعنا رجعت رجعتم رجعتي رجعتن رجعت رجعنا. So رجعنا is a fi'l, it's a verb, and the na is the fa'il, is the doer. So رجعنا means we returned. We returned. We returned. So we have a fi'l, we have a fa'il, إلى حرف جر to المدينة اسم مجرور the city. Next one. بعث في الأميين رسولا. بعث. Who wants to translate number 60? What number is that there? Number 13 for me. Who wants to translate number 13 for me? Give me the answers of 13, 14, 15, 16. Bismillah, you can give me the answers. MashaAllah, Brother Irshad's hand is up. Brother Irshad, you want to do one? Let me just Brother Irshad, I saw your hand up. I don't know if you disappeared now, but you can also like raise your hand.
Yeah.
Okay, Bismillah. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
But the Maulana asked to answer number 13, right?
Yes, you can just read it and translate it, inshallah.
Okay. بعث في الأميين رسولا. He
Good.
sent in the unlettered messenger.
Okay, good. So let's go through. So basically, Ba'atha, he sent fil ummiyin in the unlettered people, Rasulan, a messenger. So let's go word by word. What is Ba'atha?
It's fi'al.
Sorry, you're
Right?
breaking up there.
Oh, Maaf,
That's
I
what?
think my connection is a bit bad, Maulana. I'm just going to mute myself quickly.
Okay. You see, if you don't want to answer, you can just say your connection. You can blame the connection.
I'll try and fix it, Maulana.
No, I'm just joking with you. I'm just saying for the students, if you don't answer, you just say, the connection is bad, you just run, you can go. It's Dodibot. Is Brother Irshad Dodibot? MashaAllah, MashaAllah.
Called me out. My secret
Finally.
identity has been broken now.
Okay.
Can Malana hear me better now?
Yes, I can hear perfectly.
Maaf, okay.
So Ba'atha is what?
It's a fi'al, no?
Okay, good. Is a fi'al madi or mudari? Present or past?
Past.
Past tense. Okay, so Ba'atha is a fi'al madi or past tense. So when we have a fi'al, we must look for what?
Eli.
We must look for the good. We must look for Eli. We must look for the doer.
Yeah, the maf'ul bihi here. So, but that would be inside, right?
Okay, good. So the doer is not on the left, not on the end. So it must be inside. What's inside there?
He.
Good. There's a he inside. There's a huwa inside. So ba'atha is actually two words. Ba'atha is huwa ba'atha. So that he sent. Good. What's fi?
Fi should be harful jar.
Good. Fi is a harful jar. And al-ummiyin?
But that would be plural.
Okay, but after harful jar comes what?
Yeah. So that would maaf. Ismun majroor.
Okay, good. So after harful jar comes an ism majroor. So ummiyin is going to be an ism majroor.
Yeah, but it's
and
in plural,
the plural
right?
as well, yes. Because
Yes.
in Rafun it will be al-ummiyun, and in Jarun it will be al-ummiyin, because it's actually a sound male plural. So ba'atha fil ummiyina, and rasula is what?
Would it be sifa? No, it can't be.
Can't be sifa.
Because it's not describing, right?
Not
I'm not sure,
describing.
Malana.
Okay, good. Okay, shukran, brother Irshad, Mr. Dodibat, finally put two.
Exposed.
Brother Tawfiq, mashallah, is helping out. So basically, Rasulan is actually a maf'ulun bihi. So if you take at fil ummiyin and just have ba'atha Rasulan, we can take out mentally fil ummiyin, and we just basically look at ba'atha Rasulan. Ba'atha Rasulan means he sent a messenger. Ba'atha Rasulan means he sent a messenger. So therefore, Rasulan is going to be maf'ulun bihi. Ba'atha is maf'ulun bihi. Again, I'm going to urge the people, there's more people on YouTube to join Zoom. Don't worry, we have a secure Zoom session. No one will no one will bomb our meeting, inshallah. But basically, we're going to probably remove the live class from YouTube in the next few weeks. Just because it's the classroom environment should be more kind of controlled. Anyway, but I'm saying if you are on YouTube, please start moving over to Zoom, inshallah. Okay, good. Brother Shah, shukran for joining us. Next one, qata'tum min ninatin. So basically, you can just raise your hand if you want to. If you want to go, if you never chance, just raise your hand. You guys saw the raise hand things there, the raise hand icon. If you're on the phone, also you can just find where it is. You can raise your hand if you want to go for a turn, inshallah. Next one, qata'tum min linatin. Qata'tum. Qata'a means to cut. So qata'tum means you cut. That tum there is a fa'il. You cut. Min from linatin. Linatin means a palm tree. Qata'tum, you cut. Min from linatin, a palm tree. Next one. وَلِلَّهِ مَا فِي السَّمَاوَاتِ. And here we're going to have a nice two harfu jar ism majroors. Wa and lillahi. Li is a harfu jar. And the word Allah, lafzul jalala, the word Allah, lillahi, Allah there is a ismul majroor. So that is a lillahi is a harfu jar, ismul majroor. Wa and to Allah, ma is that which. In other words, to Allah belongs that which. Ma means that which. Fi samawat, fi harfu jar, as samawat, in the heavens or in the skies. Sama is everything above you. So sama can be like the sky here, and sama can be what's above the sky, second heaven, third heaven, and so on, the different heavens. Samawat, and lillahi, to Allah is ma, whatever is fi samawat, in the heavens. Next one. Can you give me the answers for number 16, 17, 18, 19, 20? You can type in the chat, or if someone wants to raise their hand, they can go. But if you can just give me the answers 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Okay, I'm actually going to go through quickly also because I want to do something else as well. Kafaru fil bilad. Kafaru, they disbelieved fil bilad, in the cities. Kafaru fil bilad, they disbelieved in the cities. Kafaru is a verbal sentence. The waw is the fa'il. Fi harfu jar, balad, ismul majroor. Next one. Katama shahadatan min Allah. Katama means to conceal. Katama is a verb like fa'ala. Katama is a verb like fa'ala. So we look for the doer. Not in, not left, inside. He concealed. Shahadatan, a testimony. He concealed a testimony. Min Allah, from Allah. Min harfu jar, the word Allah, ismul majroor. Next one. خلق الإنسان من صلصال كالفخار. خلق, as again, means created. Where's the doer? Not at the end, not on the left. It's going to be inside. So khalaqa means he created. He created al-insan. He created mankind. Min harfu jar, and salsal is going to be ismul majroor. So min harfu jar and ismul majroor. I think that salsal, if I remember correctly, means something like mud. Min harfu jar, salsal, ism majroor. He created mankind from mud. Kal fakhar, like fakhar means like a hardened clay. Ka, like al fakhar, like hardened clay or like pottery is basically like when you cook a pot and you can like knock it and makes like a sound. That's going to be fakhar, clay that has been put in the kiln, that has been hardened. Khalaqal, he created mankind. So we have lots of labels here. So stay with me on the labels because it's a nice challenging one. Khalaqa is a fi'l madi. Inside khalaqa there is the doer, he, Allah. So khalaqa means he created. Al-insan is maf'ulun bihi, is the doer. So we have a fi'l, we have a fa'il maf'ulun bihi, he created mankind. Min harfu jar, salsalin ismul majrur. Ka, bitawalika, ka, like. Harfu jar, al-fakhari ismul majrur. Next one. وَخَلَقَ الْجَانَّ مِنْ مَارِجٍ مِنْ نَارٍ. And khalaqa, same thing, created the doers inside. He created al-jan, jinn, min, from marriage. Marriage can either mean like a mixture or can mean like a smokeless flame. So min is a harfu jar and al-marriage is a ismul majroor. Min harfu jar, narin, fire, ismul majroor. Translation: and he created al-jan, the jinn, min, from marriage, a smokeless flame or a mixture, min, from nar, from fire. Last one, khatama Allahu ala qulubihim. Khatama means to place a seal. Who placed the seal? Allah placed the seal. Allah Rasul Jalala is a fa'il. Ala, upon, qulubihim, their hearts. And you can see qulubi, it's ismul majroor. Okay, good. Did you manage to do number 5.2? Because 5.2 is quite a bit challenging. It's quite challenging. It can be challenging. So what I'm going to do quickly, inshallah, is I'm going to introduce 5.2. I'm going to introduce 5.2 and then I'm going to give you a homework, inshallah. Okay. So in 5.2, one of these days when I ask you to send a photo of your homework also, we'll get there, inshallah. So in 5.2, you're hearing two voices in the meeting. Is someone else hearing two voices? I can't hear myself, so I don't know what the sound is like. Okay, so Sister Taiba, you probably just have two screens open or two devices, or you have YouTube and Zoom on or something else on as well. Okay, Bismillah. So this one here is like a very technical exercise, so don't like stress too much if you find it very difficult. But we basically look at each word and we analyze each word. So this one here, if you struggle, I don't know if you managed to do it, but this one here is a bit difficult. We are number 5.2. 5.2. So if example, you say Fatima tu talibatun min al-madinati, that's the sentence. So if you translate it will be Fatima talibatun. Fatimatu talibatun. That here is something is something. Because Fatima is definite raf'un and Taliba is indefinite raf'un. Therefore, it's Fatima is a student, min, from the city. So in Nahu, when you look at the sentence like that, I'm going to identify two things. We're going to identify what is the hal of the word and what is the sabab, the hal and the sabab. So let's go through each one of those separately just to clarify that. The word Fatimatu is what hal? Okay, so I want you to like type fast also, so we can just go with the interaction, inshallah. The word Fatimatu is what hal? The word Fatimatu is going to be, oops, let me just undo that. The word Fatimatu is going to be, so we're looking, oh, that's not okay. Oh, what happened there? Let me leave this throw table off first. So the word Fatimatu is Raf'un. So Hal means, you know what Hal means? Raf, Nasb, Jar. So the word Fatima is Raf'un. The word Talibatun is Raf'un. The word Min, there's no Hal. It's a Harful Jar, there's no Hal. So it's, there's no Hal for Min. Opposite brackets here, there's no Hal for Min. And Al-Madinati is Jar. Al-Madinati is Jar. So then we look at each one and we say, why is it in that Hal? Because we can see the Hal Fatima is Raf'un. Now I must answer the question, why? Sabab means reason. Why is it in al hal? So Fatima, why is it raf'un? Because it is mubtada. Fatima is raf'un because it is mubtada. Mubtada. Fatima is raf'un because it's mubtada. It's the focus of the sentence. It's a sentence which starts with a definite ism in raf'un, so it's mubtada. Then talibatun is the, why is it the sabab here? Why is it in raf'un? Because it is the khabar. It is the khabar. So we have mubtada and we have khabar. And then min, there's no hal, so min is the harfu jar. Why is al madinati in jarrun? Why? Because it is ismu, it should be ismu majrur, because it's ismul majrur. Harful jar and ismul majrur. Okay, so that's basically how we're going to answer this question here. Is we're going to identify what is the hal and what is the sabab. So let me actually go back to your blank exercise. Okay, let's go this one again together. Ar-rajulu muslimun salihun. So ar-rajulu, the man, muslimun is a Muslim. So raf'un, salihun, raf'un. The man is a Muslim. And it should say salih is describing Muslim. So therefore we're going to say the man is a pious Muslim. So ar-rajulu is going to be the mubtada, the focus of the sentence. Muslim is going to be the khabar, and salihun is going to be the sifa. The reason it is raf'un is because it is a sifa. It is describing Muslim. So that's how we're going to go about it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to not show you the answers. I'm going to quickly do, sorry, not there. We're going to go to, here we're going to go to, let's go to a nice long one here. And then we'll end to this one, inshallah. Here's a nice one, long one. You can work on now, quickly. This number one here. Next 5.3 is a new exercise. It says here, ذهب الولد الكبير من المدينة الصغير إلى المسجد الكبير. So I want you to first of all translate that for me. You can just put the answer in the chat.
Wait. Hello?
Okay, you can put the answer in the chat. ذهب الولد الكبير من المدينة الصغيرة إلى المسجد الكبير. So ذهب we can translate as went. ذهب we can translate as went. So take a moment first. Left is also fine, but I think that went is going to be a better one. And then after you translated it, you're going to identify the sabab. You can see the hal of each one, raf, nas, jar, and all those things. Then you're going to identify the reason why, the sabab. Why is each word in that hal? Okay, so we have two answers so far. We have the big boy, okay, went from the small house to the big masjid. Okay, mashallah. Sister Jawaya, Sister Hida, Sister Rushana. Now we're going to identify the reasons why. So dhahaba is a fi'l maldi. So you don't answer why. Al-waladu is raf'un. We can say al-waladu. Why? What's the reason why? Good. So al-walad is raf'un because it is the doer. Remember, dhahaba is a verb. We look in, we look left, and therefore al-walad is going to be the doer. It's going to be the fa'il. Can I annotate the screen? Let me just see if I can annotate this quickly. Okay, let me draw here. So walad is going to be the fa'il. Fa'il. Okay. Fa'il. What about al-kabir? Al-kabir. You can all answer also. Bismillah. Right, type in the chat. Al-kabir is going to be a sifa. So, sorry man, I it's bad with this mouse. So, sifa. So, because al-walad is fa'il, it's raf'un. Al-kabir must be a follower. Therefore, al-kabir is raf'un. Why? Because it's a sifa for al-walad, who's also the mawsuf. What is min? Min doesn't have a hal, but min is going to be a what? What is min? Min is a harfu jar. So I'm going to put a ha there, and I'm going to put a jim there. Okay, harfu jar. Sorry, man. I must get myself over. Anyway, Bismillah. Al-bayt is what? Al-bayt is jar. Why? Al-bayt is going to be a what? After harful jar, if you can remember on this lesson, after harful jar always comes ismul majroor. After harful jar always comes ismul majroor. Good. And then as-saghiri is what? As-saghiri again is a sifa for al-bayti, the house. And again you can see al-bayt is jar. Why? Because ism majroor, and as-saghir must be a follower. If that is jar, this must be jar. Therefore, it's a follower. It must match in jen. What's ila? Ila is what? That should be easy. Ila is a harful jar. And what is al-masjidi? Al-masjid is going to be the ismul majroor. Good. And al-kabir is going to be what? What's the function of al-kabir? It's there to describe al-masjid, and it matches in jen. Therefore, it's going to be the sifa. Okay, good. That's a nice long sentence that combines jumlatul fi'liya and sifa and mawsuf and ismu majroor and ismu majroor, harf jar, and ismul majroor. Okay. Let me just stop this annotation quickly. Okay. Oh, it makes it disappear. Okay. Now, your homework, inshallah, is to keep. See, now the sentences are gonna get longer. ذهب الرجال إلى المدرسة الصغيرة في المدينة الكبيرة. It's gonna get longer. So your homework, inshallah, is to do 5.2, which was homework already. So that should be done already. So your new homework is going to be 5.3 and 5.4. 5.3 and 5.4. I want to emphasize that this homework is really important because next week we'll do new work, and this homework will help you consolidate the old work. Okay. So it's really important homework 5.3 and 5.4. So basically, in terms of the sentence analysis, you basically kind of break it into parts to help you go through it. There's the sifa, there's the mawsuf, and so on, depending on the sentence structure. But the main thing is for you just to work through it, 5.3 and 5.4. And if it's difficult, it's good because it's helping you to refresh and to memorize your work and so on. Okay. So I think we'll end there with nahu, and then we'll continue with sarf, inshallah. We'll put up the answer sheets for the 5.1 and 5.2. We'll send it to you, inshallah. 5.2 number 3. 5.2 number 3. Which number 3? Number 3B. Nasarat al-muslimata al-talibatan. So nasarat means helped. Nasarat means helped. And remember, we look for the fa'il, the doer. We look at the end, and remember, I don't know if you remember this, but the ta with the sukoon is never the fa'il. The ta with the sukoon is never the fa'il. It's just there to make the verb feminine. So we look at the end, we find nothing. We look to the left. Al-muslimata and at-talibatan. Is any of these words in raf'un? Al-muslimata, no, it's nasbun. At-talibatani is raf'un. Because if it's nasbun, it will be in at-talibatayni. So at-talibatani is raf'un. Therefore, this here is the fa'il. And al-muslimata is maf'ulun bihi. Translation, the two female students helped the Muslimah. The two female students helped the Muslimah. Exercise 11, answers of exercise 11 weren't sent out. I think exercise 10 answers were sent out by mistake. Okay, I'll check that, inshallah. Exercise 11 in Sarf. So, Sister Tawheed, I don't know if it answers your question, but the translation is the two female students helped the Muslimah, and Talibatani is the fa'il, is the doer. Okay, let's do some Sarf. Let's do some Sarf quickly. Where are we now? And we go straight to the new lesson. Actually, what we can do is we can just, first of all, just refresh this. We have some other homework also, but I won't go through that now. Let's just refresh this here. Okay. So this is the if'al scale. This is the amr scale. This means do. If'al, amr, which means do. So if'al, and only have 4 you have to learn. If'al, do for you, 1 male. If'alu, do for you, many males. And if'ali, do for you, 1 female. And if'alna, do for you, many females. So you'll say those 4 together. If'al, if'alu, if'ali, if'alna. Again, if'al, if'alu, if'ali, if'alna. Leave all those things, and we're going to just practice the scale, inshallah. So iftah, bismillah. Iftah, iftahu, iftahi, iftahna. Idrib, idrib, idribu, idribi, idribna. Unsur, unsur, unsuru, unsuri, unsurna. Next one, isma', isma'u, isma'i, isma'na. Ihsib, ihsib, ihsibu, ihsibi, ihsibna. Ukrum, ukrum, ukrumu, ukrumi, ukrumna. I actually prepared a PowerPoint for this lesson. The 14th of June. Okay. So that's going to be the Amr. So what is the Amr? It would be nice if you can just shout out the Amr. I'm not sure if you're going to shout out the Amr. Okay, you can try, inshallah. So everyone, you don't have to greet, you just shout out the Amr, inshallah. Okay, so if you want to unmute yourself, you can unmute yourself, you can just shout out the Amr, or you can type it out, inshallah. So Tadrib, what's the Amr? What's the Amr? Tadrib, what's the Amr? Idrib. Good, mashallah. So just shout out. Good. Next one. Taj'al.
Ij'al.
Good. I like the scales together, man. Taftah is what?
Iftah.
Iftah. Good, mashallah. Next one. Targhab.
Irghab.
Going to be Irghab. Good. Next one. Tadhhab.
Izhab.
Going to be Idhab. Next one. Taghfir.
Ighfir.
Taghfir. Good. Next one. Tasbir.
Isbir.
Isbir.
Good. Next one. Oh, what happened here? My animation here. Okay. Next one. Taktub. Taktub.
Uktub.
Uktub. Good. Next one. Tasjud.
Usjud.
Usjud.
Usjud. Ta'bud.
U'bud.
Ubud.
I hope the rest of you are having some FOMO and you're going to join in, inshallah. This next one. Taskun.
Uskun.
Uskun. Good, mashallah. Tadhkur. Udhkur. Next one. Tadkhul.
Udkhul.
Udkhul. And the last one. Tarzuq.
Urzuq.
Urzuq.
It's going to be Urzuq. Okay. I'm going to just, for 1 second, I'm going to mute for 1 second. Okay. So basically, for those of you who may be catching up, what's happening here is that when you have, and let me just do this quickly here. When you have the middle letter here, like tansuru, taktubu, tasjudu, ta'budu, taskunu, you can see in the middle I'm saying all the time. The middle ain letter, I'm saying all the time. When I have that, then the first letter of the amr will always be will always be When the middle letter here is or like tahsibu, tadribu, taj'alu, taftahu. If it's or in the middle here, the middle letter, when we say middle, we mean not with the ta, the other three. The middle one there, then we start with an at the beginning. So this is a summary quickly just to remind you that if the middle letter has an u, then you start with an u. If the middle letter has an u, you start with an u. If the middle letter has a fatha or kasra, an or an I, we start with the I. We never start an amr with an It's always u or I. Okay. So I hope that is clear, inshallah. Now we're going to go to a new lesson. Quickly. This was the command to do something. We're going to go to the new scale, and this scale is called fi'lun nahi. Say it together. Fi'lun nahi. Fi'lun nahi means a prohibition. It means don't do. It means don't do. So let me see if I have this. Okay, let me just go back to the scale. I'll go back to the scale in your textbook. Okay. So here we're on the scale here. The prohibition scale. Fi'lun nahi, the prohibition scale. So on the scale here, The scale always begins with la. La. Now there's different types of la, and we'll get into it later on, inshallah, but the scale begins with la. So the first one is going to be la taf'al. So you used to what? Taf'alu, which means you are doing. But this one is going to be la taf'al, which means do not do for you one male. So what changed there? I added a la, and the u at the end became a sukun. So I don't say la taf'alu, I say la taf'al. So la taf'al means don't do for you one male. Okay, we're going to come to la and ma now, inshallah. La and ma now. Next one. La taf'alu. What does la taf'alu mean? La taf'alu means from the word taf'aluna. From the word taf'aluna means you are doing. La taf'alu means don't do for you many males. La taf'alu means all of you don't do. La taf'alu means all of you don't do. Next one. La taf'ali. From the word taf'alina. Taf'alina means what? You, one female, are doing. La taf'ali means all of you don't do. All of you don't do. And the last one, taf'alna means all of you are doing. La taf'alna means all of you don't do. And there's no change to the verb at the end there. That one doesn't change. So what is this? This is the don't do. This is the don't do scale. So let's say it together. You can keep yourselves on mute, inshallah. But let's say together. La taf'al, la taf'al, la taf'alu, la taf'ali, la taf'alna. Again. La taf'al, la taf'alu, la taf'ali, la taf'alna. Okay. So if I had another scale, if I had, for example, taftahu, how would it be? La taftah. What does la taftah means? It means you, one male, don't open. La taftah. La taftahu means what? You, many males, mixed group, don't open. It's a command. It's a negative command, a prohibition. Don't do. Don't open. La taftahi, you, one female, don't open. La taftahna, don't open for a group of females. Next one. La tadrib. La tadrib means what? Don't hit. La tadrib means what? Don't hit for one male. La tadribu. Don't hit for many males mixed group. La tadribi. Don't hit for one female. La tadribna. Don't hit for many females. La tansur. That means don't hit for you one male. La tansuru. Don't hit for you many males mixed group. La tansuri. Don't hit for you one female. La tansurna. Don't hit for you many females. Let's say together, inshallah. La taftah. Bismillah. لا تفتح لا تفتحوا لا تفتحي لا تفتحنا لا تضرب بسم الله لا تضرب لا تضربوا لا تضربي لا تضربنا لا تنصر لا تنصر لا تنصروا لا تنصري لا تنصرنا. Is that clear? So bismillah. So let's go back to our presentation. So let's go through it, inshallah. You can basically, again, you can, if you want to take part, you can unmute yourself if you want to. So taktub means you are writing. How do I say don't write? You can unmute yourself. You can just shout out the answer. Taktubu means you are writing. You, one male. How do I say don't write?
La uktub.
La uktub.
So don't mix the two, okay? So
La taktub.
La
uktub means write, but that's the previous lesson. This one is going to be la taktub. You with me? This is a new lesson. So all we do here is we add a la and we change the end to a sukun there. So la taktub means what? Don't write. Do not write for one male. Let's start another one, inshallah. Tasjuduna means all of you are prostrating. How do I say don't prostrate?
La tasjudu.
La tasjudun.
La tasjudu. which means do not
تسجد
prostrate. Again, you see what happened? We added the la and we changed the n, we dropped off the noon, and it became a prohibition. La tasjudu means do not prostrate. Next one. Ta'budina means you, one female, are worshipping. How do I say don't worship?
لا تعبدي.
Okay, good. Where's the rest?
لا تعبدي.
How many brother
لا
Munir?
تعبدي
Okay, so Jawaya, mashallah. La ta'budi means, it means what? Do not worship for you, one female. The rest of you can join us, inshallah. You can join us and shout out the answer. Bismillah. Tadkhuluna means you are entering for group of males or mixed group. How do I say don't enter?
لا تدخلون.
لا
لا
تدخلون.
تدخلوا
La
لا تدخلوا
tadkhulu, good, which means do not enter for a group of males or mixed group. The word tadribina means you, one female, are hitting. How do I say don't hit?
لا
لا
تضربي
تضربي.
La tadribi, again, good.
تضربي
We're doing the same thing. We're just adding the la, and we're dropping off the end, and becomes do not hit. Next one. Tadhkurna means you, group of females, are remembering. How do I say don't remember?
لا
لا
تذكروا
تذكرنا. لا تذكرنا.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
So this is la tadhkurna. When it comes to a group of females, the end doesn't change. When it comes to a group of females, the end doesn't change. Some things in life don't change. So with a group of females here, the end doesn't change. So la tadhkurna means do not remember for a group of females. Okay. Now let's translate inshallah. La tadribi. La tadribi. What's the translation of that? You can shout it out or you can type it out. Bismillah. Or you can do it on your own as well. La tadribi. What's the translation?
Don't
You,
hit.
one female, don't hit.
Okay, so don't hit for you one female. La taftah I've done before, so let's just leave it out. Don't leave it out. La tansuru. What's la tansuru?
You 3 plus
You
males.
many
Oh.
males do not help.
La tansuru. So remember, so we just do this. Let's start with do not first. La tansuru means what?
Do not help.
Yeah, like, or let's say don't, to make it easier. Don't help. Do not help means we're not giving news and saying you are not helping. We're saying don't help. La tansuru means don't help, speaking to a group of males or mixed group. Next one. Okay, there's a bit of a tricky one there. Okay, let me actually explain the next one first before I ask you the next one. Okay, let's go through inshallah. What's the difference between la tansuru and la tansuruna in terms of the structure? What's the difference? Leave translation now. What's the difference in terms of the structure?
The una. It's not adding the
Yes, you can
noon.
see the una part that has the noon there. And then this la tansuru, it doesn't have the noon. So this is something different. Now, what I want to explain to you here is that if it's the la of prohibition, it will do something to the end. Except obviously if it's a group of females, but let's leave it for now. If it's a normal la that means not, then it won't affect the end. So what does tansuruna mean on its own? What does tansuruna on its own mean?
You many males are helping or help.
You many males are helping. So la
Helping.
tansuruna means what? You many males are not helping.
Not.
So I want you to just take a moment, inshallah. You can just pause and take a moment and think about the difference here of the laws. This la is the la of negation. This la means not. This la is the la of prohibition. This is the la of do not. You guys with me? That la there is the la of do not. La tansuru, do not help. This la tansuruna means you many males are not helping. So how do you think you translate la tadribina? The rest of you can write the answers in the chat, inshallah. I'm looking at the chat as well. Sister Zurina, you can still write the answers in the chat. What's the translation of la tadribina?
You many females are not helping.
Okay,
You
not
mean he
helping.
was not eating.
You, not many,
Hitting you.
Eating.
but
Females.
not many females. Tadribina. How many females is in tadribina?
One.
One. So what's the translation?
You, one female, are not eating.
Good. You are not eating for a one female. You are not eating for one female. Okay. لا تحسب. حسب يحسب means to think. What's the translation of لا تحسب? Rest of you can write out, inshallah. You can write out the answers in the chat. I'm watching the chat. Or you can just unmute your mic and you can take part, inshallah. What's لا تحسب?
Do not think. One male.
Do not
Not
think
think.
for one male. What's the translation for لا تحسبوا? Now look carefully. لا تحسب and this is لا تحسبوا.
You, one male, are not thinking.
You, one male, are not thinking. What is happening here? Oh, this is لا يحسبنا. Okay, it's a bit
Hey.
confusing one there. But anyway. لا يحسبنا is what?
You many females are
So
not thinking.
It's a يحسب not a تحسبنا. So this is يحسب
They.
يحسبون تحسبوا
They,
يحسبنا.
females.
They many females are not thinking.
Very many females are not thinking. Good. What's the meaning of لا تضربنا?
You, many females, are not eating.
Okay. So what's the difficulty about number 9? The difficulty about number 9 is you can't see what type of lie it is.
Yeah,
You're with me?
Mm.
With the others, you can see by the end of the word what type of lie it is. Because there's two lies now. There's a lie that says do not, and there's a lie that just means not. So la tadribna can have one of two meanings actually. It can mean that you are not eating for a group of females, or it can mean do not eat for a group of females. You guys with me? It can mean any of those ones. Because with a group of females, the end doesn't change. The end doesn't change. Last one. La taktubi. What's la taktubi?
Not right.
You, one female, not writing. Not right.
Do
You
not,
are writing
do
or
not write.
do not
Don't
write.
write.
Do not write.
don't write.
write.
Do not write for
One female.
one female. Okay. So I'm just going to for a second just I'm going to mute all of you for a second, and then I'm going to go just explain this quickly. So basically, I want you to notice the difference, and this is going to be the kind of summary of the lesson. Let me just- Okay, I want you to notice the difference between la tadribu and la tadrib. They both have a la in. They both have a la in. The one is tadribu, and the one is tadrib. So the difference is that the one doesn't affect the end of the verb and the other one does affect the end of the verb. So the one that does not affect the end of the verb is just negation. It just means not. Meaning what tadribu means you one female, you one male are eating. That la just means not. You one male are not eating. That is the not la. Then if it does affect the end of the verb, la tadrib, can see turn the dhamma into sukun, That is the do not la. That means don't hit. That is prohibition. So that's actually today's main lesson, is that there's two types of la's. The one la just means not. How do I know when I have that la? When it doesn't affect the end of the word. The other la means do not. How do I know when I have that la? When the end of the verb is changed. When the end of the verb is changed. And of course, when you have a group of females, it never changes. So the group of the females can go either way, depending on context. So let's go back to this la. I'll go back to the beginning again. This la here is the prohibition scale, the do not, the fi'lu nahi. Nahi means prohibition. This is the la of do not or don't. So in this one, you can see about examples. The end is affected. La taftah, the end is affected. La taftahu, the noon is dropped off. La taftahi, the noon is dropped off. Only with a group of females it doesn't change, and that's going to always be that way. La tadrib, the dhamma is removed. La tadribu, noon removed. La tadribi, noon removed. La tansur, dhamma removed. La tansuru, noon removed. La tansuri, the noon removed. And la tansurna, obviously the group of females don't change. So this is the last scale today. Okay, so let me go through your, did I give you yeah, I gave you one on your shared drives. Nasreen, inshallah, will send to you. But surf exercise number 18. Exercise number 18. Okay, let's go through together. Inshallah, we'll do. Okay, I see some new things in here. Okay, let me give you the new things quickly. Also, you can do all of them one time. You are able to do that, inshallah. So basically, la, we covered la. La either means do not or it means not. Ma means. Okay, let me actually write out for you. It's just easier for you to all see it. You can all just maybe just take a screenshot, or you can just let me just do this for you. Actually, should have done this before, but Bismillah. Let's do this now quickly. Let's move ourselves over here. Actually, just 3 columns will be enough. Okay, so we have a la, right? Let me just do this like this. We have a la. That la, oopsie, we have a la there. Then we have a la again here. Then we have a ma. Then we have a lam. Let me do one more. And then we have a lan. La, ma, lam, lan. Okay. And I'm going to just add some columns here. So this la here, this la means not. And how do I know that? Doesn't affect end of verb. Okay. Okay, so it doesn't affect the end of the verb. This la means do not or don't. And this here changes the end of the verb. End of verb. This ma means not and doesn't change the end of the verb. This lam means did not and changes the end of the verb. And this lam is will not and changes the end of the verb. Okay, so I know a lot of information here, but it's actually quite simple. And I'll give you some examples so you can just understand them well, inshallah. Okay, so for example, if I say here, لا تفتحون, لا, and actually what I'll do is I'll actually update your sarf book with this, inshallah. And I say here, لا, can we actually copy the same thing down quickly? That's going to be لا تفتحوا. This is going to be, someone asked you the difference between ma and la. Is that generally you use ma for a past tense verb. It's not like an exact strict rule, but generally use ma for a past tense verb, and generally use la for a present tense verb. Okay, so there we go. There's everything there, and lan. Okay, let's move it up here. Okay, so let's go through one more one quickly. So it'll be the middle, the first. Okay, so the first la, this means that in terms of translation, so this la here, this la is negation. Negation. And this la here is prohibition. Okay, so your focus here is on these are the what will appear in a text. So these words here in yellow will appear in a text. What does the word mean? If it doesn't affect the end, then the word means not. So la taftahuna, taftahuna means you are opening for a group of 3 plus males. So if I see la taftahuna and the end is not affected, I simply say add a not and I negate the verb and I say you are not opening for a group of males. If I have a la, however, and the end is affected, then it becomes do not open for a group of 3 plus males or mixed group. If I have a ma, it doesn't change the end of the verb. So, but generally a ma generally appears with a past tense verb. So fatahu means they opened for 3 plus males. And if I see ma there, it simply means they did not open. It's just negation. This is just negation. Okay. Lam taftahu means you are opening. So lam taftahu means you did not open for 3 plus males. And then so lam just means did not. Whatever the verb is, lam means did not. So that's an easy one to remember. Don't worry about the end of all the stuff. If you just say lam, it just means did not all the time. And if you use lan means will not or will never sometimes. Will not or will never. So lan taftahu means you will not open for 3 plus males. Okay, so if you can just maybe take a quick screenshot of that or take a photo with your phone. You are not opening. Where is this here? So lam basically did not, lam negation plus past tense. Okay, so lam basically makes the word, lam is a funny one because lam makes the word negative and lam makes the meaning past tense. So lam makes the word negative and lam makes the meaning past tense. Don't worry too much about like all the details. I just want you to mostly focus on translation. So what does la mean? La either means not or don't, depending on whether the end of the verb is changed. Ma always means not, lam always means did not, and lan always means will not or will never. So just focus on this part here is going to be the main part you're going to focus on is this part here. Okay. This is the main part you're going to focus on is this part here. Is that okay? So these are all things that come before the verb. These are all things that come before the verb. So take a quick photo. I'll take take a quick photo, and I will also say we'll send it to you as well. Don't worry, you'll get a copy of it. So this is all going to all be the verb prefixes. What comes before a verb? So if I go to my sentence, let me just see where I am here. If I go to my sentence here, let's go through a few practical examples. لا تضربوا. Let's go through some examples. I know we're a little bit over time, but again, I'm going to allow you to, if you want to, you can unmute yourself and you can join, inshallah. Or you can put in the chat. What does لا تضربوا mean? You can either unmute yourself or you can just add the word in the chat. What does لا تضربوا mean?
Do not hit mixed group.
Do not hit for a mixed group or a group of males. Can you again see that there's two types of las there? This la is the la that fixed in, so it means do not. Good. What's the meaning of لا تضربون? What's the meaning of لا تضربون?
You are not hitting mixed group.
Good. So this la here is the la of negation, which means not. So tadribuna means you are hitting for a group of males or mixed group. La tadribuna means you are not hitting. Okay. Next one is nice and confusing, but anyway, Bismillah. La tudrabuna. Bismillah in the chat also you can add the I don't see any words coming up here. Bismillah.
You are not
Tudrabuna.
being hit.
You're not being hit.
So tudrabuna means you many males or me you mixed group are being hit. That la doesn't affect the end, so it just means not. So it's la tudrabuna, you are not being hit. Good. For a group of males or mixed group. Ma darabu. Ma darabu.
Do not hit.
Not help. Do not help. Hit.
No. Okay, well, what does darabu on its own mean?
Hit.
Daraba, darabu.
Yeah.
They many males hit.
They many males hit past tense. So what does
Past
ma
tense.
darabu mean? Ma just means not. What does ma darabu mean?
They many males did not hit.
Okay, good. So it's just negation. Darabu means they hit. Ma darabu means they did not hit. Good. Next one. Duribu. What does duribu on its own mean? What does duribu on its own mean?
They are hit.
Just think about the tense as well.
They
Were. Yeah. They
So
were hit.
duriba, he was hit. Duribu,
were hit.
they were hit. Add the ma duribu,
They were not hit.
But were not it.
they were not hit for a group of males. Good. Next one. Lan tadribu. And we go back to our table. We remind ourselves that lan means what? Lan means will not, will never. This last one here. So what's the meaning of lan tadribu? Again, break it up to make it easier. What's the meaning of tadribuna? What's the meaning of tadribuna?
You many males were hit.
Okay, just think about the tense there. What's the meaning of tadribuna?
You are eating.
Yes, good. You are eating for how many people?
3+ males mixed group.
3 plus males or mixed group. So tadribuna means you are hitting. What's the meaning of lan tadribu? Remember, it changes the meaning to will not.
You many males will not hit.
Good. You many males will not hit. So lan actually makes the verb future tense negative. So lan makes it future negative. Tadribuna means you are hitting. Lan tadribu, you will not hit. Next one. Let's do lan here. Lan tablughu. Tablughu means to reach. What does lan tablughu mean?
You will not reach.
You will not. So tablughuna on its own means you many males are reaching or you mixed group are reaching. Lan tablughu means you will not reach. Next one. La tadhkur. Tadhkur means remember. What does la tadhkur mean?
You one male will not remember.
You one male will not remember. Good. What's the meaning of la tadhkuru?
You one male are not remembering.
You one male are not remembering, or it can also mean that she is not remembering. Remember, because yadhkuru, yadhkuruna, tadhkuru, she is remembering. Yadhkurna and tadhkuru also means you are remembering. Good. Let's do one last one here. Lam yajma'na. Jama'a yajma'u means together. What does lam yajma'na mean?
You many females did not gather.
Good. So yajma'na on its own. If I go to the scale, yajma'u, he is gathering. Yajma'una, they are gathering. Tajma'u, she is gathering. Yajma'na, they, many females are gathering. If I add lam to it, it means did not. Like you can think of lam yalid. Qul huwallahu ahad, Allahu samad. Lam yalid. Yalidu means to give birth. Lam yalid means he did not give birth, and you can see the lam yalid makes a sukun at the end there. Anyway, lam yajma'na. Yajma'na means that they, many females, are gathering. So lam yajma'na means they, many females, did not gather. Okay, good.
Maulana, can I ask a question, please?
Yes, Bismillah.
I'm a bit confused as to why the lam or the lan can cause the verb to actually change tense. Shouldn't it be effectively the form of the verb? Or am I misunderstanding something?
Yes. So basically, to answer your question, the lam and the lan, number one, can change the tense, and that means you can say the same thing in different ways. For example, I can say ma fatahu. Ma fatahu means what? Fatahu means they did not open. Fataha, he opened. Fatahu, they opened. Ma fatahu means they did not open. Or I can say lam yaftahu, which means also they did not open. So to answer your question, why is it like that? That's how Arabic is. It's just that the lam and lan can change the tense. And the second part of your question is, can't you just use the verb? Yes, you can also just change the tense of the verb and use ma or la instead.
Does it affect meaning, Maulana?
It does affect meaning, but in subtle ways, which we will discuss later on, inshallah. So there's very, very slight, but in terms of translation, the same translation, but sometimes there's kind of subtle nuances that change depending on how it's used in a certain context.
Okay, shukran.
Okay, but translation will be the same. Okay, so shukran for everybody who participated, and I know it's the first time that we're on Zoom, but I do want to encourage, especially our YouTube people who are like the majority. You are called the silent majority. Literally, you are the silent majority because you can't talk on YouTube. So I want to encourage the YouTube students to please. So basically, why we're doing this is we want to make the classes much more interactive, and we also want to, of course, resume our full schedule, um, our full kind of Friday schedule. So you have your reader and you have your Quran study and you have everything basically on a Sunday, so not Friday, on a on a Sunday. But it's going to be much more effective that if you are able to participate, then you can join in and stuff. It makes the class much more interactive, inshallah. So we ask again the YouTube people. We're gonna have to probably just stop the broadcast to force everybody to come onto Zoom, but to please join us on the Zoom chat, inshallah. And for those of you who are on Zoom, is to please feel free to when we do have the interactive sessions, is to unmute your mic and just shout out the answer. You don't have to be shy; no one can see you. You just shout out the answer, and then you and then you carry on. So will there be second term holidays? So basically today was actually a holiday, but then I cancelled the holiday because you're on lockdown, so you have holiday every day. No, I'm just kidding. But basically, I didn't want to have too much of a break. It kind of changes the flow. So I only gave the second years and third years and Dawra years off today, and I didn't give any of you a holiday. So I don't really think you need a holiday when you're okay, inshallah. If you need a Sunday off, you can record the Sunday and you can watch it on a Monday, on a Tuesday or something. But I basically try not to have too many holidays because just the flow of the learning um, gets affected. So I want to have a poll now to see. Do I need a holiday? No, alhamdulillah, I enjoy teaching, so I'm good. Alhamdulillah. But I'm taking a half holiday. I'm finishing early today. Alhamdulillah. So that's Irshad Daudia. There where Dollybot comes from. Only click now. MashaAllah. Okay, okay. So how far you in Solve? You basically at the end now on the you're at the end of the first phase of Solve. You can see that's why we're at the end of the actually at the end of the textbook now. There's no more pages. I'll just add those other lam and lan and those things into the textbook. And then we actually finished with the first phase of Solve. There is a second phase, but the second phase we won't start now. We either start that in second year or we start that later in first year. So we just pause the Solve now. What we will do for Solve now, inshallah, is just more application of the first phase. There's maybe one or two other small things I want to show you, but we'll see how it goes. But to answer your question, we finish the main part of Solve. The main thing is for your homework now is to do exercise number 18 on the shared drive. Exercise number 18 is important because it's going to give you a bit of practice in the combined concepts that we've done so far, inshallah. Okay. So I think to end off with, I'll do some nasiha, inshallah, but I didn't. Okay, let's do some nasiha, inshallah. Okay, so Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, wa salatu wa salamu ala ashrafil mursaleen, Sayyidina wa Habibina Maulana Muhammadin sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, wa ala alihi wa ashabihi wa barik wa sallim. So my thoughts for today was that I think for many of us, especially during the lockdown phase, we haven't often spent so much time with our family and especially so much time with our kids. For those of you who have children, may Allah bless your children, protect your children. For those of you who don't have children and would like children, may Allah grant you children. And those of you who are unmarried, may Allah grant you the spouse and beautiful families, inshallah ta'ala. But for those of you who have children, the lockdown has has perhaps given you more time with your child or your children um, than you've experienced before. Maybe even the first time in your life you spent like 2 months at home with your own kids every day. So that's like an interesting dynamic, because it's interesting because in the normal life, depending on your setup, whether you work full time, you work half day, you work whatever your setup is, I mean, you often don't see your children beyond maybe a few hours. If you work a full day, you might see your child 1, 2, 3 hours a day, and you work half day, maybe 4 or 5 hours a day. The other time is taken up by other activities. But now you're like with your own children 24/7, and so that relationship, um, I don't know how it is for you. It could be strained, it could be difficult, it could be easy. You could be enjoying it. You could be in a situation where you say, "I can't wait to go back to school," and I can't wait for the kids to go back to school. Whatever you find yourself in. But because of it, I thought I'd just share one or two thoughts on parenting. And I think one of the kind of foundational hadith about parenting, and I'll put it up sometime inshallah, is where the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, "Kullukum ra'in wa kullukum mas'ulun an ra'iyatihi." Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, "Kullukum ra'in," all of you are shepherds, and all of you are going to be asked, and you are responsible for your flock. So one of the features of the words of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam is jawami'ul kalim, is that his words sometimes are brief, but the meanings are abundant. So the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam is using the metaphor of a shepherd for someone who's in a position of responsibility. And the hadith continues to say that a man is responsible for his family and a woman is responsible for her family, and so on. And what does the metaphor actually mean? And I find it interesting to reflect and say that a shepherd's job is to actually take their flock out of the barn, so to speak. So a shepherd's job is, why do you employ a shepherd? It's because the sheep leave the place where they stay, and they have to go out into the grazing fields. And the grazing field is like open territory. They go into the plains and they graze, and it's open territory. Where you might have some predators, and you might have some people, some animals, and some animals of prey, and so on. And the shepherd's job is to keep all the sheep together. But more importantly, the shepherd's job is to ensure the safety of the flock. So within this hadith, in this image of the shepherd taking the flock out, there are a number of lessons for parents. I'll mention the first one briefly, but I'm going to focus on the second one in more detail. The first one is that a job of a parent is to prepare their child for this life, and more importantly, to prepare the child for their next life. So that's the role of a parent. The role of a parent is to prepare your sons and daughters to thrive and survive in this life, but more importantly, to attain eternal paradise in the next life. That is the purpose of it. As part of preparation for this life and for the next life, is that at some point, and to varying degrees, we have to expose our children to the real world and prepare our children for the real world. So in this hadith, the shepherd is actually taking the sheep out of the safe environment of the barn where they normally sleep, and there's high fences and there's doors and there's a protection from the rain and so on. And he's opening the barn door and he's letting the sheep out into the real world. So in many cases, we also have to, at different stages, allow our children to experience the real world on their own, in a sense, to learn to cope with it. However, the shepherd doesn't simply open the barn and tell the sheep, okay, now you're out in the real world, go check it out. No, the shepherd opens the barn and the shepherd walks the sheep into a grazing spot. In other words, the shepherd chooses a safe spot for them to graze, and then the shepherd just oversees to make sure that they're on their own, they're grazing there, there's no danger. So I think this is an important principle when it comes to parenting, and I think it's something that we should reflect upon, is that as we are exposing our children to the real world, whether you're exposing your children to the real world of technology and social media, whether you're exposing your child to the real world of economics or social interactions or clubs or schools or whatever you are exposing your child to, the job of the shepherd is to ensure that the grazing ground is safe, is child appropriate, is age appropriate, is appropriate for the child. So I think the first thing as a principle of parenting is your responsibility is to navigate that difficult space of developing your child and allowing your child to grow and allowing them more freedom, while at the same time also controlling the environment and ensuring that there's no real peril, no real great danger, grave danger to your child. So that's the first thing. That discussion is a long discussion, there are lots of consequences and discussions, but one thing I want you to think about is that are you doing that with regard to your technology usage of your child? Are you ensuring that the space that they are grazing to, that which they are exposed to, are you sure that that is a safe space? And the discussion we can have again. But something to bear in mind, especially in the lockdown, you're giving your children devices to do this and that. Do you know what they're doing? Are you aware? Is it safe where they are grazing in? That's the first thing. And their friends and their social circles and so on. The second thing I wanted to focus on, maybe in more detail, is that the job of the shepherd is to make sure that the flock is safe. And the job of a parent is to make sure that your child is safe. And I think as parents, there's a lot of focus on physical safety, meaning what is my house secure? Are the movements of my child tracked so we know where they are, that we know that they're safe? Are they safe in terms of their health? Do they have good health? If there's any danger in terms of their health and safety, we take them to the doctor, we see to them. I want to focus upon another aspect, and it is your child emotionally safe with regard to yourself as a parent? Is your style of parenting one that your child feels safe, or is your child or is your style of parenting one where it's a fear-based approach, which means that if you don't do, there's a consequence, or if you do that, there's a punishment? Is that the nature of it? So this is actually like a self-reflection to think about our style of parenting. And at the end of the day, when we reflect on our style, and we can discuss discipline, all those things, at the end of the day, for a child to not feel safe with their own family, with their own mother, with their own father, for them to be in a state of fear, is not a healthy environment for a child to grow and thrive and develop. The job of the parent is to maintain safety from danger out there. The job of the parent is not to bring threats and danger into the household. So I understood, because what we do often is that we employ the style of parenting that we grew up with. So maybe you grew up in a different era, and our parents grew up in a different era, different discipline, different approaches, much more, in a sense, harsh, and much less interpersonal, much less softer in general. Is that the best approach to employ for our children? So that's the first thing. I'm going to speak about this discipline now, because I know all of you are going to speak about people respond. Let's leave discipline for now. I'm just saying in terms of how the child feels safe. For example, if you have a young daughter, young son, is the relationship between that son and the father that he fears the father? Is that the nature of the relationship? There's obviously natural kind of awe and There's natural authority when it comes to a young person and an older person. That's there. But is it a relationship of fear? That's the first thing. And if you look at the let's say the parenting of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam never ever struck a child. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam never ever struck a child. He never raised his hand to hit a child. This wasn't the way of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And I have never. Okay, I'll speak about the prophetic parenting afterwards again, inshallah. So that's the first thing. The second thing is that one of the things we have to introspect is that do we have in our mind that in order to instill discipline, there has to be punishment? Think about it. Is that one of the underlying assumptions of our parenting, that in order to instill a discipline and to make get my child in order and speak properly and set their bed and do their homework and all those things, I have to have punishment? So I want us to interrogate that assumption, because many of us grew up like that if you want discipline, you must have punishment. You have discipline and punishment, and I feel that is greatly problematic. That is greatly problematic because it wasn't actually the prophetic parenting style. The Prophet's prophetic parenting style wasn't like that. His children and the children that he interacted with did not fear him; they loved him. Sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Even if you as a parent read the Prophet's seerah, you might think to yourself, the Prophet is like really soft. He's like, why is he so soft? Anas radiallahu anhu, Anas who served the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam for 10 years, and Anas was 10 years old when he came to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. 10-year-old boy served the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, lived with the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. 10 years he looked after the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam every single day. Anas said the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam never ever said to me in my life when I did something wrong, he didn't say, why did you do that? Let alone threaten him, let alone hit him. He didn't even ask Anas, why did you do that, Anas? And when he didn't do something, he didn't ask Anas, why didn't you do that, Anas? Ajib. Beautiful. And there's a long discussion around the hadith. We can discuss the hadith again some other time, inshallah. The point I want to make is that the prophetic parenting style, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, was not fear-based. It was not fear-based. And I think that a part of our issue with parenting is that we bring together discipline with punishment. That if there is no punishment in the house and there is no threat of punishment, there will be no discipline. So I think that's the first area of introspection, and perhaps an area that we need to look at. Number 2, I don't know what number 2, number 3, whatever the number is that I do believe, I'm not like a hippie new age parent that just believe anything goes. We do have to instill discipline in our child. We do have to instill good character in our child. We do have to instill good habits in our children. So definitely there has to be discipline. The child has to get up. They have to learn to do their chores. They have to learn to do their morning routine. They have to learn to speak beautifully, to ask beautifully, to thank someone. They have to learn to refrain from beating up their siblings and refrain from whatever antisocial behaviors. They have to do all. I agree with that. We have to do all of those things. All I'm saying is that to achieve those things, we require discipline, but we don't necessarily require punishment as a primary means, as a fundamental means. So one of the challenges we have as parents is that when you look into our discipline toolbox, so in other words, like the child is not behaving, now your child is now speaking badly. Now you heard this talk, I mustn't use punishment. And just for the record, a threat of punishment is the same as punishment. From a psychological point of view, you threatening to hit your child is the same as hitting your child. It's the same mentality, the same emotional response. You're going to hit your child, you say, if you don't, I'm going to hit you, and the child knows you mean it. It's the same. You're basically placing the child in a stress environment. You're basically instilling fear in the child to comply. So we have to decouple, we have to separate discipline from punishment, number one. Number two, we have to acknowledge that when we look into our discipline toolbox, like how do I get this child to behave? Often the only thing inside that toolbox is what? Is punishment or a threat. And so sometimes what happens is that the challenges that we have with our children is not the challenges with the children, it's the challenges with our lack of tools to be able to discipline and to raise our own children. So the lack is not with the child, the lack is actually with ourselves. Is that we have, as parents often don't have the right tools to be able to discipline and raise our children in a beautiful, loving manner. And that acknowledgement is sometimes difficult, but part of your personal growth is to acknowledge that perhaps my parenting style has been inherited from an experience. Alhamdulillah, there was good in that experience and there was bad in that experience, but my parenting style is not sufficient. The tools I have is not sufficient for me to raise my child because it's creating an unhealthy dynamic where every time I want to engage with a child, I keep using threats all the time. So this is going to be some of the challenge, and especially when you have sibling rivalry and stuff. If you don't do this, it's all of those things. And I attended an interesting, alhamdulillah, at Guthrie, we have our parents and our teachers all do workshops on discipline. And last year we attended a beautiful workshop called Discipline for Peace, which basically goes through 20 methods, I think about 20 methods of discipline that doesn't involve threats or punishment or guilt tripping or any of that. In other words, the way you address your child, you think about it, that little child is whatever, 5, 6, 7, 9, 10, 12, 13 years old. If all of the discourse, all of the words coming from your mouth is every time there to create a negative emotional state in the child, imagine that every time you say, I'm going to hit you, I'm going to take away your phone, I'm going to tell your father, you are not grateful, you are just unappreciative. If that is the constant discourse from yourself as a parent, can you imagine all of that negativity being instilled into the child? And you may get short-term results, yes, with discipline and with threats and punishment, but in the long term, you have a relationship that suffers. You have a relationship that suffers, and in the end, the child will basically drift away from you. So there's a long discussion about discipline. So I want to say that is that fundamentally, your child, when they are with you, their default feeling is that they must feel loved and they must feel safe. I'm not questioning whether you love your child. We all love our children. I'm saying they must feel loved and they must feel safe. And they mustn't feel loved because you work hard and you buy groceries and you work hard and you build a nice house and you work hard and you pay the school fees. That's your form of love. They must feel loved according to their form of love. So one of the introspections for this week is to really ask ourselves, does my child, I love my child, yes, but does my child feel loved? Or do they feel fear in this relationship? Do they feel fear in this relationship? Are they scared of me? Are they scared of the father? Am I just instilling negativity into them? Am I guilt tripping them? Am I overburdening them? Or am I giving them words of love? That's the first thing. Number two is, do they feel safe with me? Do they feel attached to me? Do they love me and feel close and feel attached to me, that they feel safe in my presence? Or are they trying to hide everything away so they won't be punished? They won't be punished. So this is some of the and these are really fundamental, important discussions. Because when you're with your children, especially now in lockdown, you're with your children all the time, you shape your child. And the more you instill that negativity and that fear, the more you actually are harming your child. Fear can never be the basis of your relationship to the child. So the question is going to be is how do you discipline your child? It's a very long discussion. I'm going to give you one thing for today. One thing for today. The first thing, and there's many tools. I'm going to just give you one tool. The first tool I really believe is that you yourself as a parent, you yourself, or let's say we ourselves, need to be in control of our own nafs. We ourselves have to be able to control ourselves. We ourselves have to be able to control our anger and our irritation and that rage sometimes that comes out for like random stuff. That's the first thing. Is that when something happens, your child drops your favorite dish, and then you get so upset because you bought this dish, whatever country you went to, and it's a special dish. That child, that was an accident by the child. The consequence just for you, they drop your phone. Imagine they drop your new phone and the screen is cracked. It's an accident by the child. It doesn't warrant rage. Doesn't warrant your anger. So the first thing I would just say, like my first parenting advice, and maybe we can have another session next week, inshallah. But my first parenting advice is make sure you don't shout when you come to your children. You talk to your children. And even if they do something wrong for this week, try not to scream at them. Yes, you can use a loud voice, like you can raise a voice and say, "Come eat, everybody." Like you just amplifying your voice, but don't have anger in your voice. Don't have a threat in your voice. That's the first thing. Because what we do as adults, and it's really unfair on children, is we transfer our stress to children. So you're stressed out because you have to work and you have deadlines and all this thing, and now your child does something wrong. Then all that stress that you feel, you almost unload it onto the child. And it's completely unfair on them. They don't have nothing to do with your life. You're the adult, they're the child. Your stress is your burden to deal with. Don't transfer it onto no matter how difficult your life is. Shield your children from your own stresses and your own difficulties. Like in the Sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, who had a bigger burden than the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam? But your officers, Sahaba, well, how did they find him? They found that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, they never saw anyone who smiled more than the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He never withheld his cheerfulness from anybody, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Even though he had the weight of this ummah upon him, even though he had his own family abusing him and exiling him and even physically attacking him, his sunnah with people was that he was never anything except cheerful with them, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He would smile with them, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Imagine this disposition. So this is the prophetic way. The prophetic way is that even if you're burdened and stressed, you say, that is my business, but this is my beautiful, beloved child, which Allah has bestowed upon me for me to guard and for me to love and for me to rear, and I will shield them from my own rage and anger and stress and distress and trauma, and I will just shield them, and I will be calm with them and speak with them. So this is just some of the. This is, I mean, it's a very long discussion, but this is just the beginning point. I believe that this is really the starting point. Is that your own nafs, you have to be in control of your own nafs. And if you feel that, anger has symptoms, meaning what? If you feel anger, you can actually feel your temperature rising, you can feel your heartbeat rising, you can feel your breath quickening, you can feel that anger rising with inside of you. You can feel it in that moment. You can feel you want to hit your child. In that moment, take a step back. take a step back and first gain control of yourself and try not to threaten your child. Try for this week not to threaten your child. If you don't do this, then I'm going to try not to do this for 1 week. What else can you do? We can discuss next week, inshallah. I know you're wondering what else you can do. There are other things to do. But for this week, inshallah, just try to kind of self-assess where you are with your child, where you are with your own nafs, your own anger, and just try to assess your relationship with your child. It's a good place to start. And just start talking to them. Just talk to them and connect with them. And maybe just to end off with is that, we're all guilty of this. Parenting is not easy. We all have our failures and we all have our shortcomings, and we all know that feeling when you do something wrong and you like scold your child and you feel completely guilty afterwards. Like, how could I be so harsh with my own child? We all have our own. No one's perfect. We all have our own shortcomings. But I want to leave you also with this, and I think it's a serious issue, is that we can't spend most of our day getting the child to do and not do stuff. Because sometimes as parents, you're busy, maybe you're working from home and your life is crazy, and the whole day you're trying to get the child, do this, don't do this, do this, don't do this, don't do the amr nahi all day, don't, if Allah taf'al, if Allah taf'al. Now, that can't be the relationship. That cannot be the relationship of a child. Yes, there is that part of the relationship. Yes, you have to get them to do stuff and don't do stuff. That's normal. But you really have to have a real relationship. You have to talk to your child. You have to share ideas. You have to see where they're at. You have to enjoy yourself. The Quranic ayah is, when you make dua, is Rabbana hablana min azwajina wa dhurriyatina qurrata ayun. Is, oh Allah, grant us from our wives and our children that they may be the coolest, the delight of our eyes. You must find delight in engaging with your child. You must love their smiles and their laughter and make jokes with them and play board games with them and have conversations with them. Let them help you in the kitchen and enjoy the company. It can't be the whole day amr nahi, do, don't do. What kind of parenting is that? That's like, there has to go beyond that. There has to be a real relationship. May Allah bless all of us and guide all of us to be good parents. To be good parents in these days, Ya Rabb. It's really challenging because the world is so challenging. And society is going one way and we're trying to make our children go the other way. And it's difficult. Society is going one way and you're trying to get your child to go another way. You're trying to make your child go the prophetic way. The society is going a different way. In order to do that, you have to have a real relationship with your child. That's your mission. So may Allah guide us and grant us to be good parents and bless our children. Make dua for your children. Take their names in dua every day. Make dua for your children by name every day. Make dua for the struggles you're having with your children. Make dua that Allah blesses them with iman and taqwa. May Allah Ta'ala fill their lives with nur. May Allah keep away all difficulties and trauma from our children. May Allah grant them all good houses, good spouses, and good families one day when they are ready for that. May Allah Ta'ala grant them a good life and a good death. And may Allah make them, most importantly, people of iman, taqwa, and Jannatul Firdaus. May Allah protect them all from the fire. Allahu Ameen. We'll see you next week, inshallah. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.